feel like it's wild that we are at the end of July and we have no updates about Miss USA. Rumors are swirling that the pageant will be held on October 12th, but there have not been any official announcements as far as I have heard or as far as I have seen online. It's literally all speculation. I do think that an October 12th date does make sense because the contestants for Miss Universe are supposed to be arriving the first week of November, around the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, sometime around there. Some get there earlier, of course, as we know, but it's just crazy to think that we're gonna have another year where Miss USA basically has no prep. The other insane things that we can talk about are that we still don't have directors for all of the states. We're at end of July and we don't even have state pageants planned, and then we don't even have a Miss USA date. It's so sad to see how it's really gone downhill because of the leadership. I'm really heartbroken about it. I hate hearing all of the stories of contestants and title holders who are competing in this era. I'm really not sure what they're gonna do, if they're just gonna leave those state titles vacant this year and they're just not gonna have 51 contestants, which is just so sad. Or if my other guess is that possibly they could send first runner-ups to represent those states. If you were a first runner-up last year, get ready, I guess. If that does happen, you still don't have a state director, so my guess is that you would have to pay your national entry fee, your hotel, your flight. Of course, you would have no sponsors unless you found them on your own, and it would just be a really expensive long weekend essentially that you're financing. And even if you win Miss USA, as far as we know, Alma hasn't been paid and she had no support competing at Miss Universe. She had to go out and find her own sponsors. I believe the only thing that really was covered would have been the hotel and the airfare. She has been sharing lately on social media that she's just been feeling kind of down, and I can't hold that against her. I am honestly impressed that she's stuck it out this long. It's just so disappointing and so difficult to see a Miss USA stripped of all the glam and opportunities and just trying to figure it out on her own. To me, really, right now, there's no point of being Miss USA unless you literally just want to say that you were Miss USA and you have the resources to self-fund your whole year and your Miss Universe experience. That's how I would feel about it. Aside from that, we have had some states crowned, and I feel like there's two so far that are pretty notable that I think people are going to be talking about, and that's Georgia and Florida. They were both teen title holders in 2018. Vanna is representing Georgia, and she's absolutely stunning, and she was a favorite in 2018. When I saw that Savannah was entering Georgia USA, my first thought was just that everybody at that point was competing for second place. I didn't see a situation where she wasn't going home with that crown because of her experience, and she's so stunning. Right? So I feel like she's been ready for a while. I'm really sad that she decided to compete during this time in Miss USA. And then we have Florida. So Florida, former Miss Florida Teen USA, I've talked about her in other episodes. I also felt that one day she would end up at Miss USA because she's been competing in the Miss division. And I just thought it was really inevitable for her to get here. So I think something that if I were judging, I would really take into consideration is the current state of the organization. And there's a few things I think that are important to consider. If the goal is to begin our placement streak again at Miss Universe, then you need a completely self-sufficient, independent title holder who can also fund her Miss Universe journey and her year of reign, but really the Miss Universe journey if that's the priority. If judges do not care at all, and if they're not thinking at all about a placement at Miss Universe, then it literally does not matter who we crown, because she could literally get crowned and we could see nothing of her until she crowns her successor the next year, and it wouldn't matter because with no support, she's really not going to be doing very much of anything. So that makes you just think though, well, then what's the point of the whole thing? I don't know. To me, there really is no point, but that's my opinion. Contestants like Savannah and like Lou are going to make the most sense to send to Miss Universe, regardless of whatever they do at Miss USA. I think that they're gonna make a lot of sense because they have already been there, done that. They have experience within this organization. They've had success. They had placements in the organization. And also, they already have somewhat of a network. We've seen that, they have sponsors. They like to work with certain designers. They have a certain look. They have their hair and their makeup looks down. They have great walks and presentation, speak well, and all of those things. That's the kind of title holder you're going to need. You're also really going to need one that's going to self-fund herself. I don't know about Savannah's situation. In the past, she has looked very, very prepared, and that does cost money. I don't know where that's coming from, but I can say for Lou, her mom is, I believe, self-made, but a self-made millionaire. She is the creator of Your Best Friend Cosmetics, which is a brand that was sold on QVC, and so she was very successful there. Lou has literally been a model since she was a little girl. She modeled for American Girl. Lou is a working model, and she's been a model, I believe, for over 10 years, she said online. And she's consistently booking photo shoots and runway shows. She travels internationally. She'll be fine to send abroad to Thailand. I feel like she'll be able to handle herself very well there. Contestants like these, I'm not necessarily saying these two because I haven't really dove into the contestants that much this year because a lot of them haven't been crowned. But contestants like these are the type that I would be looking for as a judge to send to Miss Universe. Ones who already have a team, who I believe can kind of self-fund their year. They're going to be your best chance, I think, to have a placement at Miss Universe. Now, if you don't care about a placement for Miss Universe, then it doesn't matter. Choose your sentimental favorite. A couple other things to consider here that have been on my mind. It's crazy we haven't heard from USA or Universe. Clearly, what Layla is doing is not sustainable for the brand, and she's done so much damage to the brand. I feel like Universe is finally starting to figure out that rebuilding the brand is going to be very, very expensive. Now, since we also haven't heard anything about the plans this year, I do feel like it's a possibility. Even it would be crazy, it would be tough, but I do feel like somebody still potentially could step in and say, hey, I want to be the new director of the organization. I feel like I have what it takes to turn everything around, and I have the funding for it. So I don't know where Layla is going to be getting the funds to produce this show. I haven't heard updates about her lawsuit with the past production company. I don't know if she's paid those debts yet. I don't know who would want to enter into a new contract agreement with her. I know that so many bridges have been burnt with US sponsors, and it's already difficult enough to find support from US sponsors. And gosh, we have had some really great ones over the years, but those bridges have been burnt with the current leadership. And so I think if anybody does end up stepping in, or maybe if Miss Universe steps in and they just say, hey, we're going to reabsorb Miss USA for a while, and we're going to plan the competition just like how it was during Trump and the IMG era, I think that it's going to be very, very expensive. And I think it's just going to take time to build up the brand and to rebuild those relationships or find new ones. And it's not going to be an easy feat. So it's really, really difficult. I think that the organization right now is a tough sell. I think that it's also really strange that they decided to do the Universe Latina reality show and we still don't have a USA representative, and it was just a strange move to me. I don't really understand the point of it other than really serving the network. I don't see how that does that much to serve the Miss Universe organization. I'm not sure what their plan is with that for how they're really becoming more profitable with that show. I mean, there could be, franchising deals that's making them a considerable amount, but that money's probably going to Universe and not USA, which is potentially one of their most successful franchises that they have. So it's all very confusing. I wish that I had really great news, and I'm gonna continue to just watch online like you and follow along and see what happens and just wish the best for the contestants and the organization. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments or what you've heard online.